Welcome to Toffee TV. It is the final word. We've got Matt Jones in the studio with us. But before we go any further, we've got something to give away. We've got this amazing gift set from Beard of Liverpool to give away later on the show. We're not going to say any more now. We're just going to say amazing beard set. So stay tuned for that. We're not going to go into that.
Right. I don't get it first. I need it.
I know.
I don't need it.
No, Baz doesn't need it. Unless there's
hair
colourings in
there. Do some hair dye.
Burnley 2, Everton 1. A game that made Baz so angry that he didn't do a instant match reaction. That's how angry he was, and I said, no, that is the time to do your instant match reaction when you are that angry. It was Baz, just keep it. No, it says away as well. I don't know where to start with this game, because we went into the game, you look at the 11 we picked, pretty solid 11, okay. Morales is in there instead of Delafeu. It's pretty, you look at the side and you think that's a team that should be coming away with 3 points. Barkley was back in the side. You're thinking this is a game where Ross Barkley should be dominating the midfield. I've said this a few times now. There's games where you go, okay, we'll see what happens today. There's games where you go, Ross Barkley should be dominating this game. And somehow we've come away with nothing. No points. No point.
I like the beard.
The beard stuff, yeah. The beard stuff. We should just do like 40 minutes on the beard stuff.
Beards. I haven't even got
just
one, but
beards, yeah.
I'll give you
beard stuff.
A view on impartial view on beards. It was. We said last week, didn't we, after City? That was a great result for us, really, given the context of the game. But we had to then go to Burnley, and if we were going to be a team that is going to push for the European places, this was a place we had to go and win. And like you say, you looked at the side before the game, you thought, okay, see what he's doing with it. It looks like a team that can go there and get the victory, even though we'd said in the preview it can be a tough place. Liverpool had slipped up there, hadn't they, and Watford had lost there. But you still expected Everton to win, and to be honest, I thought we started the game okay, the first 15 minutes.
Yeah, we should have been up, shouldn't we, in the first minute? I think Morales snaps at that shot, and he just squares to Lukaku, who's got an open goal, and if that goes in, then it just change. You see him with the Chelsea Man United game, didn't you, on Sunday? If you score an early goal like that, it just changed the whole complexion of the game. It's so hard to recover from, but I think you'd always expect that side to beat Burnley anyway, the one we fielded, but especially a Burnley team who didn't have the most creative player and didn't have the best striker. You looked at their 11 and you thought, there's nothing there really for them to trouble us. I watched them against Southampton the week before, and they did very, very little going forward. They rarely troubled Southampton whatsoever. They were pinned back for long spells, couldn't really get out, and Van Dijk and Font dealt with Vokes pretty easily. And I was watching that, and I thought it gave me a lot of confidence going into this game. But going forward, we look so fractured at the moment, and I think the fact that Ronald Koeman seems to be so undecided about what the best setup is in that system. I mean, the week before he had Delafeu on the left wing, Bolasie on the right wing, and then today he changed it. On Saturday he changed it completely again. And I think constantly making those sort of tweaks isn't helping the players build up relationships, knowing where one's going to go, where not to go. So I think going forward he needs to settle on an attacking system and just stick with it for a few games, because at the moment it's just so muddled and so fractured, and you saw that in the second half, didn't you? Although we had loads of pressure and we pinned them back for quite a long time, we didn't cut through them very often, did we? It was all crosses into the box, it was all edge of the penalty area. There wasn't many really, really clear-cut chances in the game for us, so that was the most disappointing thing for me.
I think you just mentioned a couple of things there. It's the fact that we're not cutting through teams. I think one of the issues is, for me, we started the game really well. First 10-15 minutes we look fine. But it's almost like we run out of ideas, so we stop doing the basic things. We just it's like, well, this isn't working, so let's just start hoofing up the pitch.
Yeah.
That's what seems to happen. It seems to happen a lot last season as well, and that can't be allowed to continue. If you've got a way of playing, or you think you've got a way of playing, stick at it and get better at it, and develop that way, and stop. Yeah, of course, in a game you have to change the way you change and be different and do different things, but don't just go, right, well that doesn't work now, so let's just start hoofing it. Because I think that's just a great equaliser in football, isn't it? That's what helps teams like Burnley. Burnley Burnley for I thought they were really poor. I thought they were very one-dimensional. Hoof up the ball and then try and get folks onto it, and it actually worked. So what am I saying? You know, but the problem is, you look at that and you go, well, that's their one way. So let's deal with that, and let's not get sucked into that, and let's keep doing what we're doing. Now and again, we'll just put it up the pitch, but then put it wide up. That to me is the big problem. There's no discipline in continuing to play the football way we want to play it.
You said off camera, I think it was before, about the pattern. There's no pattern of play, and I just starting to think now that the problem is just the players. The problem is the players. I think I said to you, Matt, we've got too many players who are a 1 or a 9. Yeah. We haven't got enough 7s in the team who you know you can hang your hat on. Yeah. There's a couple of them there, you know, that Ashley Williams will, you know, even though I only give him 5 out of 10 on my thing, Ashley Williams will generally, you know what you're going to get from him, you know what you're going to get from Garner, you know what you're going to get from Gareth Barry. All the others are variables. Jagielka is struggling like anything at the minute. Right, Coleman at right back, poor, really poor. Oviedo at left back, average at best. In midfield, Delafeu's a waste of space, and I'm a lover of Jerry, but he's a waste of space. Morales, I don't know what he brings. I honestly don't know what he offers.
The keeper,
the goalkeeper, 10 to a 5 in a week. And this is the problem that Ronald Koeman's got, but you have to be solid when you're not playing well going forward. You have to be solid, but the reality is the final third for us has been a nightmare, I would say, since the second half against Middlesbrough, because that was the day, that second half, when we were 3-1 up. So it sounds a bit mad, but we just totally lacked ideas against a team that was there to be put 6 or 7 past. And from then, everything's been struggled at Bournemouth, Norwich in the cup, Palace at home. Okay, City, forget about City. But then Saturday, there was nothing again in that final third.
Yeah, it's just, I think the game in a way highlighted all the key areas I think we didn't address in the summer. I think we needed a top quality keeper, and although Stecklenberg's had a good start, I think we've seen glimpses early in the season of why he's not going to be a long-term solution and why he's not a top keeper. And I think especially in the second half on Saturday, I think we badly lacked a player, someone in the Stephen Pienaar mode who's just got that little bit of guile in the final third. He's going to find those little pockets, play little passes, win free kicks, and just knit everything together. And I think the other area as well, which is the biggest concern, is the centre forward. You know, the amount of times in that second half the ball just bobbled around in the box, and Lukaku could get his foot on it, or Morales or Barkley couldn't get the foot on it. And you're thinking, if someone like Chicharito, so we signed someone like him, he will have a hat-trick on Saturday.
Charlie Austin.
Just because, just a player who's a fox in the box, and who's there in the right place at the right time to pick up those loose balls and just finish them first time. Lukaku, for all the strengths he's got, he's not that type of player. He lacks a little bit of alertness sometimes, and just having somebody else up alongside him to occupy the Burnley defenders in that second half would have been so useful. I couldn't believe the amount of times the ball was just bobbling around and they just managed to clear it. So they're the 3 key areas for me. I can't imagine we'll go and address them all in January, because it's a tough time to get players in, isn't it? Especially in those 3 positions, arguably the most important positions on the pitch. But they're that big holes in the squad which we're addressing in the summer. And I was always worried that throughout the course of the season they will come back to haunt us and they materialise. And I think Saturday was the clearest manifestation of that so far.
I think as well, you go back a month, you go back to the Middlesbrough game, and you look at that team and you think, this team picks itself every week, this is the team. And then he tinkered with it for the Norwich game, and obviously that's where it's all seemed to have dropped off from. And there's no one else, is there? You know what I mean? That it all looked good there. Okay, you could say the second half against Sunderland there was a little bit of a rejig, but it looked like the team was picking itself. Maybe Barkley would be the only one you would say, but since then it's been so fractured, hasn't it? You've had Cleverley come in, you've had Delafeu starting, you have Morales starting.
It's different systems as well.
It's different systems, and I don't know whether he's got to grips with what he wants yet, which is fair enough. We're only 9 games into the season or wherever we are. So that's fair enough. And I'd rather have a blip now than have. I'd rather him understand what the problems are now than get to a point later on the season where he can't address them. Because I think we started the season with the manager gets grace period, and he's still in that grace period, and he's got to relate the information to the players. And I think for the first few weeks we won a lot of games on huff and puff, gonna say, do you know what I mean? Just like we steamrolled a couple of teams just by little incidents in games, not dominating games. Even the Sunderland game was only the second half that we really, but we got through periods of games. We haven't had one really good 90 minutes yet, and what we've seen in the last couple of weeks is opposition teams scoring first, last couple of away games, sorry, and us struggle to get a foothold back in the game then, and I think that's one of the problems. We're too slow as well in possession, far too slow, and we've got players there, and this is the thing, we've got, like you were saying before, and what you should have, guile players. You look at the weekend, we had Lukaku, Morales, Balassi, they're all get the ball and go players. They're not cut teams open players. So when you've got those type of players, I think the football needs to be fast. It needs to be fast, and it needs to be counter-attacking, and it needs to be driving at them, and we didn't have that on Saturday because Burnley just sat back and said, well, you try and cut us open, and we don't have those kind of players to cut anyone open. And then I looked at Man City yesterday against Southampton, and I watched how Southampton broke with 4 or 5 players, and I thought that's the other thing we don't have. You know, they went to City. I've said last week I thought the tactic in City was spot on, but the way, even at 1-1, Southampton were throwing numbers forward, and I think that's the other thing we lack. When we counter-attack, we go in 1s and 2s, and it doesn't cause any damage. We need to start going in 4s and 5s, and again, this is things that will hopefully start happening. But I think now we've all got a clear idea of who fits in to the system and who doesn't, or who is rising to the level. Because I think there's clearly 3 or 4, maybe more, that are just not going to be his men, from what I can see anyway.
I mean, you mentioned, we've already touched on it, we are too slow. There was a period in the second half where they were camped in their own box. We had a lot of men forward, but everything just goes like that, and then it just comes back, and then it comes, and you're going, and they're just happy going, well, everyone stood still, and all you're doing is passing it from one side to the other. The times we broke and we got Coleman in, he'd be running, you're thinking, throw this one across now, and he'd stop and turn back, and then he'd knock it back, and then it'd end up back on the halfway line, and then he'd go from centre half to OVA, and you're going, they're not worried about this. They just, that'll be exactly what they've done in training all day. I'm reading Tim Cahill's book at the moment, and he's just read the Everton section, and Moyes had have them shifting into position because they weren't as good as the opposition, so we were always holding our position. That's all teams like that have to do. Keep it tight, just box, get everyone behind the ball, move across, cover across. The only way Everton will be successful with what we're doing now is like we were at Sunderland, when they were pushing on trying to get a goal, and we just went bang bang bang, and it was fast and incisive, and it was in the net, and we could have scored 8 that night. Since then we haven't looked like that. Everything's been slow.
Go ahead, Matt.
I was going to say, I think when you're in a situation like that though, you're relying on your creative midfield players, aren't you? And I think your fullbacks as well have got a big role to play in that game, because if you've got a team like that who are bunkered in, and your wide players, which wide players naturally go inside, don't they? They need to provide that width. And I think Oviedo was pretty sloppy in possession when he got forward. Coleman's just he's dropped off a cliff, hasn't he, recently, in terms of his performance levels. They were both poor. Neither of them were getting to the bar and whipping crosses and providing that width. They weren't really. They struggle to get forward. I think something that Baines does really well, which is underrated, his time, his runs forward, and those two at the weekend didn't seem to do that very well.
The one time Coleman done it in the second half, the lad nearly put it in his own neck. Lukaku was a flack, so you'd think, I'm going to do that 3 or 4 times. No, why? We get into those areas, why do we have to stop? Why just get it and put it in front of the defenders and make that the old corridor of uncertainty and make someone have to deal with it?
But then that's having numbers in the box, isn't that? Having, you say that, but we lack numbers in the box as well. We don't put men in the box. We have Lukaku, and all the rest stand back, and we don't have, like you saying, that instinctive striker who just knows where to be. You look at the goal though. We're talking about pace, we're talking about power. Look at the goal we scored. It's a ball broke up in the centre of the field, and it's gone. And Lukaku's onto it, and Balassi takes it off him, and it's a good job.
No screaming. Get out the way.
It's a good job he scored it, didn't he? But
in a way, that kind of incident just summed up our attack and play, didn't it, as well? There's still a bit of confusion, and no one's really sure where.
But at the same time, though, it's fast, and it's incisive, and it does the job, and there's not enough of that on the pitch. And I mean the goal. I mean, let's go back to the goal we conceded. I mean, it's a long ball. You know, it's a really. I've not seen a goal scored from such a weak shot initially since Graham Stewart. Honestly, it was. I haven't.
It was going wide.
I can't work out what Stekelenburg was.
No,
I just can't.
And he shrugged like, what did you want me to do?
I can't work out what, unless he's seen it really, really late and tried to tip it around the post and has got his hands the wrong way round and has pushed it out. But I just can't work out what. I mean, we can't because we'll never have his vantage point, so we don't know. But I just can't understand.
It deflected, didn't it? But that didn't. It deflected, and it was going out.
Yeah.
It didn't deflect into the goal. It was going out. If he'd have left it, it'd have gone behind for a corner. I don't know whether he was trying to save the corner and has ended up giving it to Vokes with it.
I don't know.
The only explanation I can think of is he's seen the lads gone to shoot and he's thought
he's gone early.
He's gone early, yeah. He's gone down, and then
pushes.
Yeah, and I think then his kind of reactions,
I know what you're saying,
a little bit. He's kind of just gone, oh, and you'd imagine in his head he was thinking, oh no, as he's about to do it, yeah. So it was just, but he's got to do much better there. Like you said, there's not really any danger. But he wasn't the only one culpable. I think Williams is poor, makes a rash decision.
Yeah.
Coleman maybe could do better as well on it, yeah.
I mean, the system, the system is a big issue for me. And I've said this before. We play 4-3-3. The way we play, our attacking wingers or our attacking forwards don't get into good enough dangerous positions, and then they also don't add men to midfield. So I always think we've never got enough men forward and we've never got enough men in midfield. So it just doesn't work for me. We just don't have. Like, I was a great believer when Martinez was here, and I said it loads of times, was on the left hand side, and maybe this was because of Pina. On the left hand side, even in a 4-3-3, you don't need a winger. You need either someone who holds his position or someone who's got that trickiness about him, a player who can open teams up. So, like, Nolito was the one I always said that I always thought, or even someone like Mate could do that job. Someone who'll stay on the left, but they've got something about them. But we're having most of the time, two out and out wingers, and Lukaku's also running. We miss that bit of guile, don't we? So we don't keep the ball, and then when we're in midfield, we always look outnumbered. So I don't see how it works.
You know that I've been moaning about this system since Martinez came, because I think it's crap. I think it's marvellous if you're Barcelona, and I think what's happened is people, and you still get people going, no, it's brilliant. People have just been kidded into trying to reinvent the wheel. Because I can't, and I'll never ever understand why you cut your attacking options down. Why you only want one centre forward on a pitch when it's about winning games. You only win games by scoring goals. It doesn't take a genius to work out. If you stop Romelu Lukaku, who else in that Everton side's going to punish you, really? That was Bolassi's first goal. Has Morales scored? He scored one. West Brom. Delafeu hasn't scored. Barkley's got two. Gareth Barry's got two. Garner hasn't scored. Coleman's got one. Oviedo hasn't scored. Jags hasn't scored. Williams hasn't. So right through that Everton side, other than Rom, there's not really a goal in that team. And yet we're only playing with Rom, and he's not the centre forward who you want in a three. He wants to be the one like Man City last week, where Balassi took the knock for him and he had the space to run into. And I just think, for me, he either goes to 3-5-2. If he's terrified about, because coaches seem to be terrified about getting killed in midfield, you basically just get two lads who can run around the midfield. That's Salt. Leicester Salt it last year, but we've got one who runs about 3 games in midfield, so you only need one who can do a bit of running with him. Play 3-5-2 or play 4-4-2. And because Morales and Delafeu, I agree, they're both wingers. They're not wide strikers. Neither of them score. Neither of them get in the box. The three we've got up front all want the ball at the feet. All of them. Not one of them wants to get in where they're there. It's not one of them.
I think the thing as well with Morales, Barkley and Delafeu is they're all in terrible form at the moment. I think
they've all in terrible form
they're
at the
all
same time.
Really, really bad form. I think Morales started the season okay, didn't he? Seemed to buy into those methods early on and was working hard, putting himself about a bit.
He was working hard, but he wasn't.
But this has always been the problem.
He forgot what his job was.
Yeah, this has always been the problem with him, though, hasn't it? He's just so inconsistent, and whenever you feel as though he's just on an upward trajectory, he just seems to just either gets injured, gets sent off, or just loses form. He can never maintain that level. But I think what all those three players have got in common is as well, and I think we've spoken about this with Barkley, they haven't got that standard, that go-to default setting where they can say, it's not going well for me today, but I'm going to have a good, solid 6 out of 10 game here. They're all, like, as you said there, they're all either 7, 8 out of 10 every 5 or 6 games. But
Barkley started really well on Saturday. He was using the ball well. He wasn't using it in any kind of amazing way. He was just using it.
And he had that nice little shot where he cut inside and Heaton forced the save.
I don't know if you agree with me. He seems to get bored. He gets bored, and he gets bored of just having a normal game, and then he loses concentration, and then he doesn't have that normal game. And what you want is him to have that normal game. And you're thinking, the more normal games you have, the better player you'll become.
I don't know whether you might laugh this out of the room. You probably will, but I don't know. I don't know whether we just play him up front with Lukaku.
But that's what the mad thing about that is, you say that, but he's always said he was a centre
I don't know why you just don't put him up. We haven't got any right. For me, we've got 2 options now till January. We either play Balassi as a centre forward.
That's what I'd do.
Right? Yeah. Or we say to Ross, go and be a presence alongside Rom. Go and work up front. Don't run back. Do your 2 fullbacks. Cut the space off, and then if we need you to, you can just sit off him. That first year under Martinez, when he played 5 yards away from Lukaku, he was devastating at home. He was devastating at St James's Park. The 3-3 with Liverpool, when he just cut, he was outstanding that day. He had them chasing shadows. He played right off from. Now, because we've got these 2 other strikers and him, it's almost like a diamond 4, but it doesn't work. And I just think, like you're saying, he gets bored. Would he get bored if he's having to chase balls through? If it's his job to
We've said this before, isn't it? We've said this before about the reason why Dele Alli is now seen and does more than Ross Barkley. Because Dele Alli's job is really simple. It's to play off the centre forward and be around them and use the skills you have, which are you're an instinctive attacking. Think back to Tim Cahill. It was mad because people used to always say, what does Tim Cahill do if he's not scoring goals? And
he was a pest.
Part of that was true. Part of it was true, but part of it wasn't, because he was a pest. And when he wasn't there, you'd go, no, I know what he's doing. But he was a centre forward, but he played in midfield. And I'm not saying you can turn Barkley into that, because I don't think he's got the instincts. But all his instincts are to attack. And he's always, like Saturday, you've got the defensive line. And he's always playing on that side of the defensive line, and you want him playing on the other side. If that makes, do you know what I mean? That makes sense. You want him to be causing danger in and about that. And at the moment, he's playing on this side of it, and he just isn't getting any joy. And I know a lot of people are starting to think he's not good enough, and those ideas creep into my head. But I know he's good enough, but he's going down the wrong track. And if someone doesn't grab hold of him soon, he's going to be so far down that track that he's not going to be able to come back from it. We've seen it so many times. I am old enough to have seen dozens of players that everyone said was going to be absolutely amazing hit the wrong track, and then the next minute.
For me, though, he's still better than anyone I've seen who's fell away in an Everton shirt.
Currently, though, I mean,
do you know half the problem? Can I just one last point? I think half the problem is when I look at him and his body language, I'm not sure he's convinced that he's that player anymore.
I don't think he is.
Do you know what I mean? But I know it is confidence. But when
I'm just asking you.
But when does confidence go that little bit step further?
It's more permanent.
When it's a permanent fixture in your head.
For me, this body language, right? This is a kid from Wavertree, by the way, right? And you know Mug when you live in Wavertree and playing football. He's the biggest shithouse of a Scouser I know at the moment, in terms of a lad who's from the city, from the area, who's a fantastic footballer. Where's that fight? Remember when we beat Arsenal 3 years and he shoved Arteta and he was in it and all that, and he shoved N8. Where's that gone? Because at the moment there's nothing. When someone hits him, he doesn't look angry with them. He just gets up and I think he's having a real.
We need him in a room. We need him in a room, right, with another fella from Wavertree, right, Tony Bellew, right, and you look at someone like Tony Bellew. No, this is a bit weird, but you look at someone like Tony Bellew, right? You look at boxers. Boxers convince themselves. Yeah. They convince themselves they're going to beat that fella. That's why they keep talking. Because they convince themselves They go and say, and they convince themselves with all the hype. And I think he needs a bit of that. He needs. I also go on.
The responsibility's got to be on him now. Like, we sat here at the start of last season and we lauded the lad. We said he was brilliant. I remember the game against Southampton when it was 3-0, and he was absolutely outstanding that day. And the thing that impressed me most about him that day was he missed a chance in the first half. A real sitter in the season before that, his head would have gone down, and he still puffed his chest out and bossed the game that day. And I thought, this is it now. He's going to kick on now. He's going to move forward. And last season we blamed the manager. We blamed the fact he was on a poor fitness regime. We blamed all these different factors about him. We said, once a good manager gets hold of this lad, gets him tracking back, gets him working hard, make sure he's in the right kind of shape, he's going to be brilliant. He's got a manager now who's, he bigged him up at the start of the season, don't forget. One of the things Koeman said in pre-season loads was, can't wait to work with a player like Ross Barkley. You see all these articles saying he's going to build his team around Ross. He gave him the captain's armband against Yeovil, and we're still having these conversations about him and making these same sorts of excuses about him. And I love the lad. I think with the right guidance, with the right place in the team, he can go on to be brilliant. But I think we've made too many excuses for him in the past. I
think one of the other things is, and I'm not going to have a go. I'm not having like a go on Martinez for this, but he was a number 10, and then he become a number 8, whatever that is. Do you know what I mean? Like he was a number 10, and then his natural instincts came out at number 10.
Yeah.
And then he become this number 8, which is I must be a more of an all-round midfielder, and I don't think he is an all-round midfielder. I think he is what he is, and he might just be a centre forward, and he might just be someone. He might be a classic number 10. He might be a classic number 10 in the style of a Totti, who you just have to just leave alone to do what they want.
Sorry, but I wouldn't say. I think if you look at the attributes he had in that first season when he broke through under Martinez, in terms of the way he carried the ball, the way he'd commit players, shooting from the edge of the box was brilliant that season, wasn't it? Some of the goals he scored was magnificent. But we've not seen that for how long? When was the last time you seen him get the ball and commit a player and take a player on and fire off a shot from the edge of the box when he's he did it a little bit at the weekend, didn't he? And you're thinking, wow, that was a bit of the old Barkley there. But we've not seen that from him for so long. He seems to have, I know it's early in his career, but he seems to have evolved into a different type of player for me. You mentioned there about he plays on the other side of the lines now, doesn't he? He's getting the ball, he's got so many players in front of him.
Well, that's what I'm saying to you. He's having it looks like, and listen, before anyone says, he's not the only reason why we lost at the weekend. I just think he's having that much of a crisis of confidence that keep putting him in that area where he's playing, he's going to continue to give you the same thing. Whereas I think if you take a bit of responsibility off him and say, go and stand alongside Lukaku, we'll have these players in here who will do this legwork for you. Go and be busy between your centre half and the fullback. That's your corridor. Let Lukaku do the centre half and the right back because he's left footed. Barkley do the left back and the centre half, and that's your two. And you are our front two. Balassi, back them up on this side. Maybe it's Aaron Lennon on the other side because he works hard or covers whatever, and then or have maybe a Gareth Barry, a Garner and a James McCarthy or a Clever, whoever it may be on that side. Maybe we don't need two out and out wingers at the moment, but maybe we need, if Barkley's going to play, maybe he has to play almost alongside.
I think before we went off on a big Ross Barkley stand, I think the initial point of this was it could solve two problems at once. It could get Ross back to what we know he can be, and we have another centre forward on the pitch.
Which are free Lukaku.
Exactly. We've had that. He said Delafeu was going to be second striker. That was blown out the window in 2 games. Balassi could be that option. He could be that option. But then you look at Balassi, and I'm sitting there and I'm reading what people think about Balassi, and I'm baffled that Balassi's this, Balassi's that, he's rubbish. He scored his first goal, and I think he's been involved in 5 goals now with him and Ron, haven't he? That's the best in the Premier League. So you're talking about what a lad does.
And he almost scored again after he scored.
And you're talking about what a lad does. When Balassi gets the ball, and this is sort of what I'm with Ross, every time he drives forward. Now, it's not always a success, and I get wound up just as much as other people by the stupid tricks he tries to do at times when you just think, just go and burn him for pace. But he's still driving us up the pitch, something Ross hasn't been doing, and you just he's doing something at least. Whereas when Morales gets the ball at Delafeu, they've lost it within 5 seconds of getting it. Balassi doesn't get. Alright, there was a couple of times he does, of course, he's a normal footballer, but
don't forget he put that cross in as well where the keepers took it off Lukaku's head. Everything we done well Saturday came through Balassi. I give him man of the match. I thought he was our best player.
And there's been so many times he's created great chances this season that they haven't been taken. You know, you think back to the first game he played, he put one on the plate for Ross, the header he missed, and then Lukaku as well. Palace, you know, Garner's like middle of the goal, he's got to score, you know. So I've got no problem with Balassi. I think people need to realise that wingers are like that.
Is that the problem though? Because look at what he has done so far. Would be the problem if we did move him into like more of a central centre, we'd lose that.
He's done it from all over, hasn't he?
I know, but the problem is that it's all right saying he's done it from all over, but we do need 2 focal points on the pitch. We need a centre forward, and whether it be a split striker or another centre forward. I'm just saying if Balassi suddenly becomes that player up with Rom, do we lose something then?
But I think he's kind of done that for me. I think he's just been at times he just seems to have a bit of a license just to go and affect the play. You know, he can be high up the pitch. He doesn't necessarily need to be next to a centre half.
So if that's the case, is there a case then that we go to 3 at the back and play you know, with 3 at the back and start playing Coleman more pushed up on the outside or whoever else, and then they become the width. So you've got a wing back actually providing the width that allows Balassi to become a little bit more inside, and then that solves the problem at the back as well. Because at the moment, I don't know what's wrong with him, but Jagielka is fucking shite, and I'm not mincing my words there. For the last 2, I don't know whether it's a coincidence, but he got injured in international duty. Yeah. He came back early, and the 2 games since, he can't kick a ball. Every time he kicks the ball, it goes that way.
Yeah.
He's been so bad, but also he's been all over the place. And again, it's a worry because I look at the squad and I look at how thin it is. He makes his mind up very early about players. He's not letting give him Funes Mori an inch in this team. Now, as much as I think Funes Mori, don't think he's that good, I would be tempted to just say go out there. But then the other option is play the 3 of them, because it could actually work, and it could open up other options up the pitch for us.
I'd say Coleman out, without a shadow.
Stay 4.
No, even if you play 3, even if you had to play Holgate there and ask him to push on, because I think Holgate's got a brain when he gets forward. If you watch Mason Holgate when we attack, he's actually quite clever with his passing. His decision making's much better. Seamus is having one, and the thing I really liked about Koeman is the honesty when he's come in, and I liked he kind of said if you're playing well, you'll play. End of story. Seamus Coleman isn't playing well, so he shouldn't be playing. For me, he shouldn't be in the team, and he's a great player, and he can be a great player, but he's not playing well. And that's the problem. If we continue to just stick with players and go, well,
it's not that he's not even playing well. He's not offering anything.
Remember, I've said this to you before, Matt, didn't I? He's always not been the greatest defender, Seamus.
No.
You know, he's enthusiastic and he works hard and all.
Fullbacks are not good defenders.
Right. But going forward, he was incredible. And he was, for me, he was the best in the Premier League for a few years. Him and Zabaleta were right next to each other. But at the moment, he's clueless in the final third. He doesn't do one or the other. Now he gets
play.
He runs out of play. The amount of time he can cross it, but he carries on running. Or he gets in an advanced area and he stops and he drags it back and he tries to do that step over onto his left foot and no one falls for it. Get him out till his confidence.
Do you think there's a touch of burnout with him?
Possibly, because he's played a lot. Don't forget, he's just had a big tournament and he put a hell of a lot into that Euro.
He got battered during the Euro. He got absolutely physically battered.
Exactly.
He got injured in the summer
again.
You know, he come back
mentally as well. You know, he's Ireland captain now. It's going to be a lot more pressure.
I just thought when he got put back in, Holgate didn't deserve to be dropped.
No, he didn't.
Because he'd done fantastically well.
Wasn't he? In a couple of games,
playing brilliant. We were winning, and he got left them out against Sunderland. Now, okay, we won, and then we beat Borough and Coleman scored. But for me, he's struggling at the minute. Now, okay, he might want to take him on, because Baines is out and he might want a bit more. But he's just, that's what I'm trying to say, was suffering because he's normally a big weapon for us. He's a potent threat.
It's an attacking issue rather than defensive. I mean, it is still worries at the. I mean, it's the first goal we've conceded too. I mean, the second goal. I mean that second half we've bombarded them, but like we spoke about, we never really cut them open, did we? That's another issue. There's no real pattern of play where it's like the football's great. It's. I wouldn't say it's frantic, but it relies on Balassi running with the ball quite a lot. It relies on, you know what I mean?
It's scary though, isn't it?
It doesn't rely on bang, 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 great little passing moves and then you open them up. It relies on a lot of just up and at 'em football, not long ball, but just quick football, which is I've got no problem with. But there's got to be a few little other things. And as you've pointed out, there isn't that player who can put his foot on the ball and just go. And there hasn't been that player since Pina, and we're still lacking that player, aren't we? We've been saying it for 3 or 4 years. We still haven't bought that player that can do that job.
I think one of the things about Koeman's teams when he was at Southampton is they had players like Pelle, who's physical, Mane physical, Long, who's quick. But they had Tadic in there in that midfield position. He'd find those clever little pockets. You know, he'd play wide sometimes, he'd play in the middle sometimes, but he just have that intelligence to get on the ball and thread those little passes and link the play up really well. And we've not had that since P&R, and it's staggering that under the previous manager, even though he said we need that type of player himself, he said it was going to be the priority. He didn't go out and get it. And I was really disappointed last summer as well. We didn't go out and buy that clever player. You know, you look at teams in the top. You know, the top of the Premier League, and they've got so many of them. You look at Liverpool; they've got like 5 or 6 of those types of players, and you think we haven't even got one who can do that.
What's ironic with Liverpool is they just play players who just interchange, but they're all quick. You know, they've got the lad who will probably score the most goals, doesn't get in the team. He's sat on. Maybe we could buy him in January.
Yeah, but what they have is they have a centre forward like we used to have when like Marcus Pence. I'm not saying you know what I mean. He does the forward for Liverpool does all the dog work, and the midfielders score all the goals. It's supposed to be the opposite. We've got a centre forward who's going to score all the goals, but in pretty much the same formation, which it doesn't work. I can't reiterate how much this formation just doesn't work for us. I think it hasn't worked for 18 months.
I think what you need in this formation as well, I think what Liverpool, not going on about them too much, have done really well. They're an attacking unit, aren't they? They're structured. You know, all the plays link up really well. They know where each other's going. They know each other's movements. Really, you know, they're intuitive. Whereas our attacking players look like individuals. Lukaku's very much an individual. Balassi is. Barkley is. You know, Morales and Deulofeu definitely are. They're not what you'd call team players. They're not going to link up with each other really well.
But you can get away with having Lukaku as a individual player.
Oh yeah.
As long as the other players knit it all together. And as you saying, we just don't have anyone. And again, this probably goes back to the pressure that's been on Ross. The focus has been on him to knit it. But as you go, we have too many individuals. Deulofeu, Morales, Balassi I suppose is a team player for what he does, but is probably seen as an individual because he's not someone who's like a give and go player, and we don't have enough of that.
We don't also have the midfield. One of our midfielders, both of our midfielders just sit. I know Garner tries to get involved, and he had a couple of shots at the weekend, but he's not someone who's running. Gareth Barry is more of a quarterback, if you want to call it that, pinging the ball. We haven't got a midfielder who really goes and commits past with Ross. So when you watch like Liverpool, you watch Spurs do it really well. 5 of them attack, one just waits, doesn't he?
Bailey's that player, and
they go. I think the worst thing about Saturday, I mean, it's just the way we conceded the winner, isn't it? Really, just oddly enough, it was Balassi on the edge of the box who just sort of lost the ball by falling over it.
We could go back to even before that. It's just a stupid free kick to give it away. There's no need to give it away at all.
It's their camp in their box. They can't get out. It was when you're watching it, you're just waiting for us to score. We're looking as though we might get the winner. They're on the back foot. They're hanging on. Heaton's had to pull off a couple of cracking saves. We're not playing well, but we've got them pegged in because they weren't playing well. It's an aimless ball forward that's gonna, to me, looks as though it's just gonna bounce out for a throw-in. And Oviedo just jumps into the lad's back on the halfway line. You're thinking, why are you doing that? For what reason? You know, and then the free kick's a long pump into the box, isn't it? Breaks up. Was it Balassi?
I think Balassi falls. He goes to clear and sort of just falls over it.
He did something similar at City, didn't he?
The lads gets a first time shot off. The one that did at the bar was fantastic. And to be fair, that something we haven't even spoke about is the lad scores the winner and he kicks shit out of our players. That Mike Jones is absolutely weak as piss, because their tactic was, and we haven't even really talked about it because we've been focused on us, is their tactic first half was break the play up as much as you can, break the play up, fouls, break the play up, stop the play. I know we got involved in it as well, which we shouldn't have, but that was the tactic. Stop the play, break it up, don't let them get in a rhythm going. And then Arfield should have been, he got booked, and then I think he made at least 2 yellow cards.
Gave away 4 fouls.
The fouls in the second half.
The one on Gareth Barry was ridiculous. It was so late.
Yeah.
I know it wasn't a horrendous challenge, but it was a late challenge, a booking.
But the annoying thing for me was, though, the referee kind of set the tempo for the whole game in that first half, because he was dishing yellow cards out to everyone, wasn't he? I think Garner got one. Absolutely.
The lad was already on the floor.
Nothing.
Garner went like that and went to the ref. What? He's already on the floor.
I think if you're a top referee and you're going to be a strong official and you set that template early on, you say, right, this is the mark now. I'm not having any of this. You know, if you go in, if you make any fouls, you're going to get booked. For him he needs to carry that on. Then you need to have a strong official to maintain those standards. You can't move the goalpost in the second half because the lad's already been yellow carded.
I think he went over and warned them like twice.
He said your final warning, and then he done another one. But
you could see him though. He was an absolute shit house, that referee. You could see it all over his face.
Always like that.
No, I know, but and then you could even it was so that lad. So obvious that he was going to get the winner because he shouldn't have been on the pitch. I mean, that's no excuse, but. You know,
I don't think we can't take anything away from Burnley, can we? They're not in Everton's league in terms of players that they've got now, but they've done what they've done well, and they've won the game. And
he took 6 points off us in Liverpool by doing the same things, and that's fair enough. I've got no point. But the tactic worked because the referee was allowed them. They just kept on breaking up the play. We couldn't get any momentum going. We couldn't get anything, but they did just kick us off the park, and we've done that ourselves. I'm not saying that's a terrible tactic. I'm just saying if you need a strong ref though to look after that, and it just never happened. But
just listen. It was bad defending. It was a good finish by the lad. Yeah, he shouldn't have been on the pitch, but he finished it well. And fair play to them, And it's a kick up. It should be a massive kick up the arse because we've gone to Bournemouth and it was poor. Yeah. We've gone to Burnley and it was poor. We were poor against Palace at home.
Yeah. Well, let me just make a couple more points before we wrap it up. We're still in sixth place. How on earth are we still in?
We beat Burnley and Bournemouth. We beat top.
I know. So we're still in sixth place, even though we haven't won a league game for the last 4. So we're still in sixth place, but everyone's behind us now. Southampton, Stoke, they're all there. I
believe West Ham are only 5 points behind us.
Yeah, they're all there. So now is the time where we have to just shake this off and start picking up wins and draws. So that's the number one thing, because if we don't, we're going into the period now, certainly after the next international break, where there's a massive block of games. The middle part of the season where you define the area of the league I think you're going to finish in, and if we can stay in touch and distance of all those teams at the top, then we give ourselves a chance for at least European football next season. And that's what I'm saying. Now is the time. We can't afford to drop any further into that mix, because we'll become that part of that mix, and then who knows.
Yeah, we want to be in there heading into January, don't you? Because obviously we need 3 or 4 players in January. It's factual, whether it's 2 loans and 2 permanents. That's what we need. We need a centre forward. We need 2 centre forwards in January. There's no question about it. A midfield player. So we've got to go and get players who are going to improve us, and it will be difficult because it's not the greatest window, is it? But to improve us, we need better players. To get better players, you have to be in a decent league position. To be in a decent league position, we've got to start winning games. December's a horrible month. We've got some big games in December. It could be a fantastic month if the games go well. United, Arsenal, Liverpool at home, haven't we, in December? So that could be 3 wins, 3 unbelievable results, and the next minute you're riding high. It can be done. We win on Sunday against West Ham. We're right in the mix. They're 5 points off the top. Now, I think all sat here in August, we'd have gone,
that's all right.
Coming to the last week in October, you'd be 5 points off the top. You'd be like, I'll have a bit of that, thanks. It's just frustrating the way the last few games have been.
Yeah, I think what I'd like to see him do for these games coming up before this international break. Well, how many weeks is it to the international break? Is it just a couple?
2. It's got West Ham and Chelsea.
But what I want him seeing to do now is just to settle on a system and settle on some personnel, because there's been so many little tweaks here and there in terms of personnel, in terms of the way we played over the last few games, that I think that's contributed to us being fractured going forward, to not having any fluidity in our play. I think the manager now needs to pick a system, pick some personnel, and barring any injuries or suspensions, settle with it. I mean, even if the weekend comes and goes at West Ham and we don't get a good result, we draw or get beat, I think he needs to give the players the chance, and the players that he prefers a chance to build up some relationships, to build up some familiarity with each other, because at the moment they are playing like a team full of individuals, and while they are all individualistic players, the ones you mentioned before, if you don't give them the chance to form those relationships and don't give them the chance to get those bonds struck up, then they're going to keep playing like that.
Final point. Ronald Koeman, Duncan Ferguson were at the under-23 games, game the mini derby. If you don't play in the ass, you don't win.
That's
it. This is the rule of the under-23s.
I think it's just the rule of if Liverpool play Everton, they win.
Yeah. But I mean, what do we take from that? Because I don't think Ronald Koeman's someone who, I don't think he's someone who watches these games. I think he's got people for that. You know, we've got a director of football, I suppose, and Steve Walsh, who's one of his main remits is that. So is that him looking over the players, seeing what's out there himself with his own eyes, or God forbid, do you think it might have just been a PR exercise to say, I am looking honest?
I don't think you get him to do anything he doesn't want to do. That's how he strikes me as someone. If he's gone to that game, he's gone specifically to watch something. He hasn't gone because he thinks we've lost, this will look like I'm bothered. I don't think he gives a toss what anyone thinks. He does his way. I think he'll be looking at Tom Davis, I should imagine. Be looking at Mason Holgate. Should be looking at Kieran Dowell. He should be looking at Calvert-Lewin. He should have been looking at Nias. I hope he's looking at Liam Walsh, because these are players who may need to come in and give us a little bit. I know I bang on about Tom Davis quite a lot, because I've seen a lad who's not asked about who he's up against. He just goes in and kicks people and gets involved in things, and I know a couple of people in the comments have been like, no, he's not ready, stop going on about him. Well, is Cleverley ready? Is Kone ready? Is Morales ready? No, so that's bollocks as well. But I think he's gone there to watch players who could be involved.
Mike's just been having a pint in the Brenton and thought, I'll pop in. I didn't even realise the game was on.
Something going on. Seen Duncan?
I think so. Yeah,
I don't think that ever happens.
I mean, would you have? Was there anyone there who you'd be?
Yeah, I think Holgate, I'd have him back in the team now, either as part of a back three or if we're playing a back four instead of Coleman. Davis, I'd love to see more of as well. Like you said, the fearlessness of the lad, and whenever he's played, has really struck me. And I think whenever he has played in Premier League games, maybe granted not against the best opposition, but he's stepped up and he's looked ready. And I think a player like that who plays in the way he does in terms of his aggression, his enthusiasm, would give the players on the pitch lift and give the fans a bit of a lift as well, because we have sunk into a little bit of a malaise, haven't we? I think people are getting a little bit disillusioned with how things have gone, but I think somebody like him coming into the team would give everyone a lift.
That and the announcement of the stadium.
Yeah, fingers crossed.
We'll pick everything up.
Stadium would.
As long as it's on the docks.
Well, it will be.
Baz said it. Right, there we have it. Right, comments, all the rest of it. You know what to do. Beard of Liverpool have given us this fantastic personalised prize. Right, you need a beard, or you need someone if you want to win this. Right, it is a set. It has got Autumn Haze beard balm. Autumn Haze. That's actually what I call my hair colour. Autumn Haze. It's got this beard oil. Personalised Toffee TV beard oil. It has got Beard of Liverpool scissors, and it has a beard brush, but you must need an absolute mega beard for that, I think.
Yeah, you need like
and it's a one of a kind. Beard of Liverpool is a male grooming company based in Liverpool, making 100% high-end natural men's grooming products right here in the city. Consist of two brothers, Mark and Dan. I know at least one of them is an Evertonian, because I might be related to them. Yeah, and all the details are going to be underneath in the description of where you can buy these brilliant sets. You'll personalise them to whatever you want, as long as he doesn't break any trading laws. They've also teamed up with the guys at Swanky Malone's in Baltic Triangle, and have offered every Toffee TV subscriber 10% off a haircut and a beard groom. Matt, get down there.
You get down there.
They stock and use only Beard of Liverpool products, and if you go in and quote Toffee, you will get your discount and be able to experience Beard of Liverpool's first hand. So there you go. If you want to win this set, right, it's dead easy. Just comment in the video below. Just comment. That's all you need to do is comment. Just write a nice little comment. Put something in it like blah blah blah. Yeah, whatever. Also, I'd like a beard set, and we'll enter you in the thing. Dead simple. That's it. Dead simple. If you want to buy the stuff, we'll put the description in there, and nice one to beard, nice t-shirts as well.
I didn't get one.
You didn't get one.
And he's got a beard.
Yeah, and he's got a beard. Gutter for him. Yeah, so make sure you comment on this video, and if you want a chance to win that set, just comment as well, and you'll be put in the draw. Thanks for watching Toffee TV. We'll see you later.